is ridiculous. You're a This family's toxic. I'm out. Siéntate!
What's up, everybody? This is Newton Mayenge. Welcome to the league. Our topic for today is on the importance of voting. As you can see, I voted, and I couldn't have this conversation with anyone other than my next guest. She is a Dutch-American director, writer, and visual artist who focuses on Latino stories. Her stuff is amazing. It's been on HBO Latino. She's an award-winning director. I would love to welcome our good friend, Miriam Kruishoop. Hey, Miriam, welcome to the league. How are you?
Good. Nice to be here with you guys. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We are so excited to have you.
Likewise, I'm happy to be here, and I see you voted, man. Awesome.
Yes, I just voted today. Myself and my fiance, the producer of the league, we just voted today. We're excited, and we're here to make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where our show is going today. We want to talk about the importance of voting. And you are an exceptional person who we want to have this conversation with. And I know for me, growing up, my father, for example, we had some different political views. Mm-hmm. And they were sometimes good and in agreement, and other times they were kind of hot and not in agreement. Mm-hmm. But the consistent thing was that we knew the importance of having those conversations to ultimately vote, because he brought us, he's from the Congo, so he brought us to this country to have that voice. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get your opinion before we talk about your amazing film on the importance of voting.
Oh man, super important. I mean, people lost lives to get women the right to vote, to get minorities the right to vote. I mean, you can't waste it. So, you know, I see this post on social media like, should I vote? Or I'm not voting, or I don't know, like, is it safe? And I'm like, listen, guys, the reason why there's voter suppression is because your vote really counts. And if you think you're now in a position where you don't need to vote, that means you're either lazy, privileged, or you don't give a damn. So either way, it's wrong. You know, you gotta get out and vote. And again, you gotta respect the generations before us that made it possible for you to go out there, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible. It's very simple. So you gotta respect that privilege, and you gotta use it, because things can change.
You're right. You're right. And you hit so many topics, and as I'm hearing you speak, it's got me thinking about a lot of different things. The privilege is so important, and with that privilege, we all have opinions. We all have conversations that we like to talk about our political views on things, right or wrong. We like to have those conversations, and I wanted to get right into your amazing film that you created, where it kind of has family and politics colliding. Mm-hmm. And can you tell me about your film, the name of it first, and then how you came up with the idea?
So it's called Estilo Americano. And the idea was really inspired. It came about in like the spring of 2019, you know, when mm-hmm. Trump was really, you know, they were targeting, this is pre-COVID and Black Lives Matters. Not prior to Black Lives Matters has always been a movement and important, of course. But, you know, when everything was about the wall and targeting Latinos and ICE and the children in cages and everything, you know, and I have a lot of Latino friends. I did another film before, Green Card Warriors, which was a Latino film. And, you know, we had lots of conversations, and especially with a friend of mine at the time, we hung out a lot, Leticia, and you know, she's Mexican-American. So, you know, we mm-hmm. spoke a lot about it, and every time, and one of my best friends as well, you know, he was kind of like on the fence and leaning towards being a Trump supporter. And then all these stories about families being divided. And I'm like, what is so crazy is that, you know, in America, we talk about the demographic of Latinos. But like when you're from Puerto Rico, your experience is very different than when you're from El Salvador or from Honduras or Mexico. So that's one thing. So the generalization is very, very sort of wrong to talk about this massive group just because one speaks Spanish, right? And you see that within the group, it's so divided. A lot of people are very conservative because they're religious. And then you have the newer generation that's extremely progressive and, you know, is much more assimilated and feels very American. And then I was like, wow, there's so many ways of identifying with being what Latino is. And I thought that's a really interesting subject matter, especially because it's so divided. And then I took inspiration from all the things that I mentioned and I created this framework and like, okay, let's get a family together during Thanksgiving. So a very American holiday where there's first generation, you know, there's, you know, people that were born there, people that were born in Mexico. And let's see how they get on and how they feel about what it means to be Latino in Trump's America, really. And I thought, like, we need to document this, right? So it's a very important moment in time. And I wanted to make something that was timely in a timeless way. That's why I did the film in black and white and CinemaScope, and also wanted to make it a piece of art. But you know, just try to create these characters. They come together. They're loving as a family, but, you know, there's a lot of different POVs, and then the whole thing explodes. And there's like a twist, a turn at the end, and a reveal, and, you know, lots of drama.
One thing I like too is that you incorporated a Latino middle-class family in a current present-day scenario. Because, you know, and a lot of times Latinos deal with this, African Americans deal with this. Sometimes we deal with stereotypical situations as talent, and it was so refreshing to see that you combine those two worlds for a more inclusive scenario, because everyone deals with that scenario. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, we're all dealing with the same scenario. So I'm glad that you incorporated that within this film.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, again, you know, you've seen the day laborer, you've seen stories about the maid, you know, you see the Latinos represented in media and entertainment. And it's the people, you know, the undocumented people, while the majority of Latinos are middle class, thriving, educated people, and we don't see them, they're not being represented. And that really frustrated me, right? Because again, I'm talking about close friends that don't see themselves on, you know, in the media or on TV. And I was like, you know, we need, again, it's a film that tries to trigger people to move away from the stereotypes. That's why I say the twist at the end is very important, because we all have you know, all these preconceptions about, oh, that's how it is, or that's how you are. And, you know, and the same, I did the same with my other film, right? People judge people that are undocumented or end up in gangs, but you know what? Everybody has their story, and sometimes it's not voluntary how you end up, you know? So we have to be much more empathetic and understanding. We all want the same thing at the end of the day.
Yes, you're right. At the end of the day, we all want our voices to be heard.
Yeah.
You know,
we want to be seen, we want to be heard, you know.
And equal opportunity for every single color, no matter what you look like. And that's just the bottom line. And I'm glad that you're, especially this day and age where we can be filmmakers such as yourself and create not just the stereotypical narratives, but narratives that are actually people are dealing with. It's not just stereotypes. You're dealing with people who are thriving, as you said, in the Latino community, who are in middle class and upper class environments, just like any other, you know, group of people. And those stories need to be told as well.
Absolutely, I'm all for it. And look, as a filmmaker and visual artist, that's what I do, right? I try to sort of get people to pay attention to maybe demographics that are overseen or personal stories that don't get the attention, you know, and sometimes that is a group of middle class educated people. You see, like, so, but you know, it's also like, you know, I'm Dutch American, but you know, I was born in the Netherlands. I'm from Amsterdam. I lived here a very long time. I have an American passport, so I can vote. But you still sort of have enough distance, you know, to sort of peek in, and you're like, yo, that's wrong. Like, and we aren't like, where are the Black Panthers for the Latinos? That was my first question. Like, where are they? the Malcolm X, where are they? You know,
Yes.
and I was like, and that is definitely more of an outsider perspective. Do you know what I mean? To say like, why? And then you start to dig deeper. Like, of course, it's not organized because people come from all these different places. A lot of them aren't born in this country, you know. So you start to see cultural differences and how divided it is, and the role of religion in many families, you know. So
Yes.
I'm getting it. Well, I'm going to tackle it.
And you have an interesting perspective too, you know, because you have the European perspective as well, which I played basketball overseas in Germany for several years. So it's a different outlook too when you get out of this environment. I like to call it a bubble sometimes in the US.
Yeah.
There's other perspectives that you have. So then when you come here and you bring that mentality here, you're looking at, okay, things need to be more on equal playing field than they are. For people.
Definitely. I always explain, like, my biggest, I mean, you were in Germany. I'm sure you visited Amsterdam at some point.
I did.
It's a very progressive city. It's a very progressive society. So when I moved to America, I was like, man, this is not what they sell on TV.
It's a culture shock.
This is conservative here. And then I'm talking about New York and LA. You know, I wasn't even talking about places that are considered conservative by Americans. So, and I was like, universal healthcare. When you look at people that are conservative, whether that's in Britain, whether that's in France, Germany, Holland, Denmark, Sweden, whatever, right? Western Europe, like healthcare for everyone is not on the agenda. That's done. Everybody's got healthcare coverage. There's social security, there's social care. There's like gay marriage, not on the agenda. Abortion, not on the agenda. We're in 2020. That's still on the discussion today with that, what's her name? The new potential judge person. And I just looked at the hearing and I'm like, oh, okay, you want to go by the law, but you're afraid to be outspoken. I'm like, woman, if you put that abortion back, you know, on where women can't make their own choice about their own body, what are we doing? And to me, that was like, in a way, Newton, and I don't want to be insulting to American society, but for me, it was a step back.
It's tough because, you know, in that short time that I was overseas, I could tell it was progressive from all those standpoints. Every single one of those topics was not an issue.
And even talk about it.
Yeah, and it's just hard to swallow that when you've experienced another environment that it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Because now you're trying to figure out how are we going to change that and make it not an issue here, and that's why the media is a big deal. The filmmaking industry is a big deal in creating narratives that are progressive, and that's why I'm so happy to see what you're doing and that you're showing, especially the Latino community, that, you know, there's more than what you typically see on TV. Yeah,
thank you, man. I mean, look, I did a show last summer, so 2019. It was called Living in America, and I made an installation and a whole exhibition about what it's like to be an African-American teen growing up in America today. And this was before the shit really hit the fan. But I was like, you know, I went to Nickerson Gardens. I worked with a girl there who's like really amazing. And I'm like, hey, I want to collaborate with you. Can you tell your story in dance? She was an amazing dancer. And it's like, and it was all about police brutality, her friends being, I mean, we know all this, right? And it's like, that deserved a lot of attention, but then sort of the wall and ice and, you know, the Latino thing, and then it sort of flipped around. And it's like, all these things need to be addressed, like, for once and for all, you know?
Yeah.
And,
and that's why it's important for everyone to get out here and vote. It more so than ever, they have to get out here and vote and express their concerns, express their opinions, and to get out here and be an asset, I always say, and not a liability. Because you can't talk about problems if you're not willing to fix them.
Oh, you know? Of course. I mean, we have to come together. We have to work on it. I mean, we all know democracy was fought for. So, you know, that came at a price. We are aware of that. We know our history. America should embrace its own history first before you can move on and acknowledge certain things, right? But, man, the beauty is it's happening. It's out in the open. We can talk about it now, right? And I just use my voice through my art, through my activism. People like it, people don't. I don't care. This is what I do, you know? So
exactly. I love it. And I love your mentality on all of that. because you can't care what other people think about you, because there's always going to be someone who has an opinion of you anyway. So what difference does it make, right?
Look, you know what? I'm doing it. You're doing it, right? We're active. Yeah. So that's all that matters. And use your voice. We have a lot more power than we think. And that's, you know, people are so beaten down here because it's so hard to make a living, especially after COVID. And, you know, it looks like it's getting worse again. Such a crisis. Yeah. But it's like, even when you feel at your lowest, please vote, because, you know, that's why they're trying to suppress everyone. That's why I have all these rules and you know, the system is so designed that way. But we are extremely powerful, and it starts with your local councilman, you know, just go through the ranks, so to speak. And yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Miriam. So tell me, where can we, I know you have a premiere coming up.
Yeah.
On the 19th.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and where can people check out the film, if possible?
Yeah, so the film was at Urban World a couple of weeks ago, which is a great festival in New York, and then it's showing at La Femme. But then the big premiere that we're doing is on the 19th with Los Cortos, and you know, great organization. We're super happy to do that with them, and that they're giving us, you know, their platform and behind it. You know, because I hope people recognize that this is an important little film, you know. It's a beautiful looking film, but I hope people see it's important, and hopefully they're touched by the story, and it will motivate them to look differently at things and don't judge people just, you know, by the color of their skin or the outside or this language that they speak or the accent that they have.
Yes. And I'm excited. Los Cortos, they're very well known for just the platform that they have, and we're excited to support them on the league. Where can we follow you on your social media or any of their platforms to continue to follow your beautiful journey, the messages that you're presenting to the world? Where can we follow you?
So our Instagram is estiloamericano.film. Okay. Then we have our website, estiloamericano.net. Then it's my name.com, and M Kruishoop is my Instagram, at M Kruishoop.
That's amazing. Is there one thing you want to share with the audience before we get off?
Sorry, say that again.
I was asking, is there one thing you want to share with the audience before we get off?
I think it's how you started the show, Newton. It's about voting, thinking about how we have lived the last 4 years, where we came from, when there was so much hope before. I understand that not everybody thinks the same way as you and I. I realize that, I'm aware of that. But we got to do better than this. And we need someone to represent us. And I'll be honest, if it was up to me, there would be someone else nominated right now on the blue side. But I'm going to do the right thing, because I do believe this is someone who can put good people around him. And definitely has a much more positive message. And listen, they're all raving about the economy under Trump, but the one who got it back together was Obama. He put in the hard work, we put in our hard work and paid our taxes then, so more people could benefit. And that's where I stand.
And you know something, I totally agree. I totally agree. And I try to encourage people to once again, not complain, and just go out there and vote. That's it. That's it. Let's make a difference, because we have so much together that we have to fix, and we can't have any more, you know, divide and people fighting against each other for the color of skin or because of how you look. Doesn't matter. Listen,
Newton, if we have a leader, I don't even want to call him a leader, that's too much, that says a white guy with a gun is a patriot and a black guy kneeling down is a terrorist, you know, we're in very dangerous territory. And you know, this has to stop. We cannot, I mean, it's just so pathetic. It's laughable. I mean, when I speak to friends and family in Europe, they cannot believe the theater that's going on here, and that nothing is being vetted. There has to be some sort of ethic that's being brought back into politics and the White House, where you say, you know what, there needs to be fact checking. You can't just make these statements, because a lot of people, maybe they don't have access to good news, or they aren't that educated. And if you fill them, it's like you fill them with junk food, they're going to get sick and die. You fill them with poison, you know what? They're going to think the wrong thing. That's our responsibility, you know. And
Right.
and we need to step in to stop that from happening in the debate, lie after lie after lie. And even people that were on our opposite side, it's like, oh my God, like this cannot be true. It's like, all the respect is gone.
Yeah.
I don't like politicians, you know, they're an evil, necessary thing we have to deal with, but there are levels in how bad someone is, you know?
Yes.
You know, someone's got to do the job. We don't want to do it, right?
Well, only a few weeks left, and we're going to go ahead and start making this difference.
Yeah.
Miriam, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on. You were such a joy to have on the show. We will definitely check you out on the 19th, and we're going to continue to support your film and everything that you're going to be doing.
Thank you so much. Same to you, Newton, and your fiance. Congratulations, man, for a better future.
Thank you. I know, for a better future, and we got to continue to make that happen and believe in it. Everyone, this is Newton Mayenge, the League Talk Show. Everyone, please be safe. Go vote, go vote, go vote, and we'll see you soon. Take care.